How does luxury tie to aspiration, seduction, and exclusivity?
Luxury is about relationships.
How design, luxury, architecture, jewelry, and equity can all be structured into one smooth.
Whether it's real estate or jewelry or clothing or everything, right? It's all got to do with supply and demand. Your product A has to be international. Your product can't be, sorry, your jhumka wumka and all. That's not going to work there. So point being that I had made my mind up from day one. I personally think social media is a fundamental man-made energy vampire on an astronomical scale.
Point well noted.
And India is a great market. Identify your niche, change your niche. Business is product and sale. There's nothing more. Your goal could be to be a teacher. Your goal could be to be the next big thing. Your goal could be anything.
Anything that they can imply from today itself.
Today, people are looking for relatability, right?
But how do you really crack it? Alright, so we already know that Sir has been through, his entire Hollywood journey, and that's something we all are really very aspirational about. So my first question for Sir is, from an architecture degree to Hollywood's favorite Indian jeweler in a few years' time, how does this happen? Could you list a few pertinent pointers for our students? Are skill sets in luxury and design truly fluid?
So I think it's a great question to start with. And the point, I think, is to have the clarity with who you want to be. When I began my journey, it's now been 20 years plus. I was very clear from the onset, from the first day that I began my business, that I am not very interested, no offense to anyone, in this Bollywood culture. Nothing personal, it's just I don't align with it, right? Like in India, most brands align fundamentally with Bollywood and with weddings. That's what fashion and luxury in this country, unfortunately, is about, or fortunately, no judgment again. But it's not who I am. It's not what I want to create. So what can I do that's bigger? Controversial to say that, but it's true. So point being that I had made my mind up from day one. When the first piece went into production, my aim was not an Indian actress. It was an international entertainer. And then the path that I took, I think I made conscious decisions to reach that moment. You have to also bear in mind, in 2025, social media is huge, right? In fact, it's everything. I'm talking about 2005 when I began my business. There was no social media. There was, but barely any internet.
Exactly.
That was a different time. So you didn't just expose your product because you were online. There was a very tangible path to it. So we did fashion weeks. Those have always been big. In fact, I think fashion weeks 20 years ago were a lot more about the fashion and the craft and less about the drama it's become now. Then, of course, there was the film festivals. Toronto Film Festival is a big one, which today is a little subdued because of the Met Gala and stuff, but it used to be very big. And then, of course, there were trade fairs. So I think this was the avenue we used to expose. You create a product that is international, right? You're not catering to just an Indian audience. So first of all, you get a product, whoever's interested in doing this, right? Whoever's interested in catering to royal families in different continents or Hollywood stars, or even the South Asian film community now is becoming very large. South Asian, when I say, I mean sort of not India, but other parts of South Asia. So your product A has to be international. Your product can't be, your jhumka wumka and all. That's not going to work there. And once your product is international, you need to become someone that they relate to. Are we all not seeing the India bashing happening in the world today? Not violence against Indians, that's awful, but some of the opinions against Indians, I feel are justified because they behave really badly. So number one, if you're looking to be in that business, you need to really, your product has to be international and you have to put your sensibility together where you are not standing out as an Indian or Asian. And number three, you have to really put systems in place where you can expose your work in those markets. So I think if you are able to do these things, you can enter the market. It will not guarantee that you're going to get a piece on Goldie Hawn and Nicole Kidman like we managed, but you can enter that market. Then you need to work with stylists, which everyone's well acquainted with. And you need to have a PR infrastructure in place. However, PR today has become very expensive. It's not the way it used to be 15, 20 years ago. It was a lot cheaper. Today, everything has become a paid-for story, mostly. I'm not saying everybody, but everything. And you have to build relationships. This is all luxury, right? Different avenues of luxury. Luxury is about relationships. If you don't have relationships in place, you are not going to be able to propagate your brand. And these relationships need to be not just with people around you. They have to be with what we call opinion leaders, not influencers. Don't confuse the two things. There's a very big difference in an influencer and an opinion leader. An influencer typically is paid to promote something and doesn't know jack shit about it. An opinion leader is someone who is an expert in that field and has the right to have an opinion, and his or her opinion matters. That's who you want to be affiliated with. So if you put these systems in place, and there's a huge luck element to any success, I think, there's a very high chance you can manage it. I would say every brand has a turning point. It's one spark. If you can manage one celebrity on a global scale who is huge, your brand story can change overnight. So for us, the journey was sort of interesting. And then one day, this is now many years ago, when Goldie Hawn wore my piece. She's a big thing today. Imagine what she was 10, 15 years ago. I mean, that was it, right? That changed the story for us. Because when you go to an editor and it's Goldie Hawn wearing your piece, and you're not paying her for that, she's bought it, she's spontaneously wearing it herself, that story then changes the journey of your brand. So if you can follow these steps, and you create your own steps also, there's a high chance that you can enter that market.
I think I grew up a Nicole Kidman fan. So tell us something more about how did you get that?
So I won't go into details of each celebrity because there's so many of them. But in general, our journey has always been to work with really good stylists. Now, bear in mind, a stylist today has 1,000 designers to work with. And when you talk about the top 10 big brands, you talk about the Cartiers and the Bulgaris and all of that, Tiffany's, what we call the heritage brands, who've been around for some even centuries, in fact. I was going to say decades, but centuries in many cases. They have ready accounts with these celebrities and stylists where millions of dollars exchange hands every year just for a guaranteed product placement. So one of these brands will pay a film festival or even the Oscars, maybe $5-10 million 1 year for guaranteed product placement on 6 A-listers. Now, that's not for everyone, right? And that's probably not going to be something that everyone is able to do. We didn't do that. So with us, it really was relationships with the stylists, and you have to convince them. They have to see value in what you create. So whether you are customizing something for them that they can't get from somebody else, or they just really like you. Sometimes it's that simple. Don't underestimate the power of what that can do for your career. just someone wanting to push your brand forward. It sometimes begins like that.
It's more of an intention of the other person to take you
Sometimes
there.
it is. And then once you've done that, then like today stylists come to us, right? Like we won the Oscars recently and stuff. So now they come to us and say, listen, okay, now show us what you have. And then they will sit, we will send them, you guys know what SKUs are, obviously. You'll send them all your SKUs. They will look at it and then they will try to match it with the celebrities that they are styling that year. And sometimes they may come back to you and say, we love it, but it's not a fit. It just doesn't work with anyone's look. And if you're lucky, they'll come back to you and say, okay, it's a fit with this one's look and this one's look. And the piece goes, and it can change last minute. There are times where you will expect a star to wear the piece, but the stylist will not like it in the last minute. Forget the stylist. The hairstylist won't like it in the last minute, and it'll be out. So you have to, it's a lot of trial and error. And all of these have honestly been like that. Like there is no one single answer to give. We've all followed this procedure. Many of these people are social friends of mine, but I've never called upon those favors. I've realized that business and your personal equation, you must keep it very far away, because if you mix those two, somewhere there's going to be a conflict.
I think that brings me to the next question, which is more about the mystery around your collections and your pieces. You and your brand spell mystery and exclusivity. It is all about designing desire. Your recent Fine Jewels line Abduction received rave reviews from every premium international design publication. How does luxury tie into aspiration, seduction, and exclusivity?
It's a good question. He's smirking at that. It ties in enormously, because the world of branding, right? And you guys cover what all industries? You said jewelry, interior, and?
They do fashion apparel, they do automobiles,
Correct.
beauty wellness, food and travel.
So luxury is about desire, right? And if you and your product are not desirable, there is a high chance that you're not going to make it in this business. You might make it in a different business, but this business is about desire. What you call in MBA language, supply and demand, right? I fundamentally think supply and demand is if a human being can understand the true meaning of supply and demand, there is no way you will not be successful. And I think we read this supply and demand, or have read it for the last, it's been in the syllabus somewhere and everyone disregards it as, oh, one stupid terminology. Try to understand the nuance of what supply and demand means. Whether it's real estate or it's jewelry or clothing or everything, right? It's all got to do with supply and demand. And supply and demand is what? Supply and demand is manipulating desire. Some people manufacture desire, some people manipulate desire, some people don't manage, right? So I think it really is about that. And when you say exclusivity and mystery, now I think what's happened in my case is fundamentally, I may not seem it, but I'm a very reclusive person, extremely reclusive. But my body of work is always written about, my parties are written about, my homes are written about, whether I like it or not. So what's happened as a result is that this mystery has developed because it's all over the press often, but I'm not ever anywhere. So this mystery somehow is not something I have cultivated deliberately. I think it's just happened. And you talk about the brand's mystery, we're not available easily. Like today, if you want to buy a piece of mine, you won't even know how to get it. We don't sell, we don't have a store in India. It's strictly by appointment. And in certain cities in the world, like Monaco and stuff, you can't even buy a piece of mine in Bombay unless you know me personally. And I want you to have the piece. That's very important, but it also depends on who you're trying to become, right? Like if you're trying to do a massy brand, right? And you want to do like a $2 billion turnover story, That's not going to work then with mystery and suspense. That journey is very different. I'm not looking for that. I was not looking for that ever. I would never be interested in selling my brand to somebody, no matter what's on the table. Till I'm alive, that brand will belong to me, and that's my rule. So, if that's the path you want to take, then what people call allure or mystery is supremely important. And especially in the times we live in today, right, where social media has turned the whole world into a circus. It has turned the world into a circus, and I feel everybody into clowns. And everyone's turned into dumb performing monkeys. It's humor, it's almost a joke to watch, right? And in the times we are now, overexposure is not necessarily the best path to take. So you have to build mystique, you have to build desire. It's not easy, it takes many years, and your product has to speak for it. So basically, it has to be a little bit like how our brand is run. We're written about, but I'm almost invisible, like you will never see me anywhere. You have to do that. And if you can achieve that, people are talking about you, the press is talking about you, Forbes is talking about you, Vogue is talking about you, AD is talking about you, but no one will see you anywhere. So you have to do both those things together, and your product has to be, I mean, you can say, I want to build a mysterious brand of clothing, sure. But is the product aligning with mystery? Is the product aligning with something beyond? Like Alexander McQueen was a very mysterious designer, right? His clothes were not for everyone.
Yes, true.
But like someone actually once called us the McQueen of jewelry. In fact, somebody in New York.
Wow.
So if that's the path you want to take, you have to cultivate that. You have to become that.
So you have that advantage of actually choosing your own customers.
Oh, completely.
Yes. And I think once you become mysterious, and that is what makes you aspirational.
See, but just being mysterious and not having a business, you're then nothing, right?
True, absolutely.
You have to sort of build the, I think what you need to do is first build the business, build the turnover, build the sales, because until you have sales, you have nothing, right? And then you can recede a little bit.
What we see mostly these days is, anyone starting their own brand, they first would go on social media and promote their brand themselves.
Which is not a bad thing to do. It's not a bad thing to do. And today people are looking for relatability, right? Which personally I don't align with as a person. But today social media or PR has become about relatability. So it depends. Are you looking to be a relatable brand, or are you looking to be something that you need to bloody be lucky to get your hands on in your lifetime? So it really depends on what you're trying to do or who you're trying to be, right? Birkin is not relatable, but Birkin has converted their brand into a full tamasha now.
Yeah.
It's turned into a joke, I think. Their second, resale market is bigger than...
Yeah,
So in what direction that brand is going, I have no idea. I think that brand was, in my opinion, at its peak 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Now they've made a muck of it. So I think it depends on what you want to achieve. And you need to identify your financial goals to start with. As I said, if you're looking to build $1 billion company, mystery is not the way to go. Because then you need to be a janta brand. It's not going to work otherwise. And to be mysterious and build $1 billion company, you then need a 200-year history behind you. If you don't have that.
So when you say sales, do you also plan that in a year you need to crack, these number of pieces or this amount of sales?
We produce a set number of pieces a year, not one piece more. That's it.
So you've already decided what your sales is going to look like?
More or less. And we generally always achieve that. It's like Scaprielli. We all know Scaprielli, right?
Yes,
as a brand.
Yes.
If any of you go to Google and check what their turnover is, you will laugh. Their turnover is less than, I can tell you, a mid-level chain store in India. Yeah, it's less than that. Their turnover is less than potentially a very big CEO salary, but they're very happy with that.
Because their pieces are works of art.
It's also a 100-year-old brand. You may not know this, it is.
True. Yeah, I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. I think, we keep talking about storytelling in luxury. And I think I would definitely want to ask you that question because you're such a perfect fit for it. The power of storytelling in luxury branding, you are a phenomenal storyteller. I've seen that, and I think we all have read the PDF as well. So, it's myth, fantasy, symbolism. It shows from your pieces as well. You use dragons, the Amundra, and then you have envy. So, yes, of course. So, how do you make these collections the way they are? With every, they become a favorite with every premium fashion editorial magazines. What can students learn from your phenomenal trajectory in this regard, and how can they become press favorites too when they launch their own brands?
I think one of the successes, I think of, or one of the signs of someone that I have noticed is probably going to make it big is someone who starts early. You have to begin your journey early. A lot of this feel-good stuff online, you can begin at 50 and life begins at 70 and life begins it does not. And I'm willing to debate this with anybody and burst their bubble. Life does not begin at 50 or 60 or 70. The earlier you begin, the more fire you have, the more adaptable you are, the more you will do anything for that success, right? Now, how does this tie into your question? Storytelling is about really aligning with what is storytelling in luxury? Storytelling is basically taking somebody on a journey. Am I right? Storytelling is you have a journey and I want you to come with me on this journey. That's what storytelling is. To be a good storyteller, you need to have a journey, right? And the way the world is going right now is people are very caught up with social media. I think it is a big energy sap. You all have heard of energy vampires, I'm sure. I personally think social media is a fundamental man-made energy vampire on an astronomical scale. I believe this spiritually. And why is it related to your question? Everyone is so caught up in listening to everybody else's story. Where is yours? Who gives a rat's ass about your story when all you're doing is consuming content of other people who honestly have rubbish stories to tell? So, first of all, separate yourself from all the noise in the world. Until you do that, you cannot be a storyteller. Separate yourself from the rest of the world. Find who you are. Be very honest about it. Today, there's nothing. Today, the world is in a very chill zone, right? It's this whole moment of no judgment, no anything. And it's true to a large degree. Own who you feel, align with it, and align your business with that. Your business should stand for something, right? Are you looking just to make money? You can open a bhaji ka dukaan and you will make shitloads of money, right? Or are you looking to build a brand? Your journey for both those things, you have to know that by the age of 18, I think. If you don't know it by 18, 20, then like all of you already by now, I can actually look at some of you and tell you who's going to build a business and who's going to build a brand. I won't, but I can do it. So if you can first identify that in your life, I want to make money or I want to build a brand, they are very different journeys. If you're building a brand, your money is going to come to you much later. It may not even come, or it may come much later. But when it comes, it will be large amounts. So first decide that. Once you decide that, if you're just trying to make money, you have no story to tell. Then you are a businessman. That's it. You're doing dhanda, chapter finished. Okay? But if you're looking to build a brand, what is your story? Figure out your story. What are you standing for? Like, are you solving, now the whole world is very obsessed with solving people's problems. I mean, okay, you really want to solve problems? There are very big problems to solve in the world, but let's say you have a business that solves a problem. That's your story. That's your story, right? Or you are doing something. Like today, people are making jewels and home interior stuff that is very spiritually inclined, that has energy, connotations to it. That's a story. So figure out your story, be very honest about it, and you have to build a relationship with press. Now, even press has changed a lot today than when I began. Today, it's all this silly paparazzi culture. That's not going to build your brand. That's going to turn you into either a clown or it's going to turn you into a clown. Right? So, now if you're in a business where you need to be a performing clown, which many people are in this country, sure. Otherwise, you need the AD, you need the Vogue, you need the Forbes, you need the Elle, you need those people to talk about you respectfully. And you have to build a relationship with press. Don't ever become friends with them, they're not your friends. They cannot be your friends and they should not be your friends. They are simply your instrument to take you from there to there. There is no free lunch or free dinner with them. There's always an agenda. Keep distance. Talk about your work with them. See how they respond. If they feel a connection to what you are talking about and they want to promote you, there's a lot they can do. So I've obviously always had a good relationship with press, but they're not my friends. And I don't speak with them beyond that interview call that my PR team lines up. There's nothing more than that. They have to take you seriously. If they look at you as someone that's hustling, it won't work because then they'll come to you for the hustle. Don't get into all this. So I have a lot of friends who sort of feel, oh, you get written about so much, we don't. We took the journalists out for dinner, lunch, and breakfast. I'm like, you don't do that. You simply don't do that. If you have an interview lined up, sure, line up a nice meeting. But if you're going to schmooze them and send them things just to build that rapport, let me tell you, they're going to ask for that every month. So be very careful with press. They can really take you very far, but you have to build a relationship with them and they have to respect you.
So they can either take you for a ride or they can take you far. But I know most people, like you said, I know a lot of people who literally send gifts to them just to be featured or, just to have.
I feel if you have to do that, if they've done, Vogue has done a big story for me, and I feel like doing it, I will send the writer a gift out of thanks. That's different to me poaching him or her trying to get the story. They're two different things. One is good manners and one is manipulation. They're two different things. So, and a writer, a journalist, a senior editor is judging your outfit and your shoe and your watch and your car and your home and who you're with. They are judging all those things. You need to be very clear with that. And you do need to play that role. It doesn't happen otherwise.
So in a way, your image is also kind of...
Your image is everything. Now, if you're in a situation where the image you have and what the reality is very far apart, then you have a problem. But if it's somewhere aligned and they see value in it, it's great.
So to say, you have to be very genuine and you have to not...
I don't know about genuine, but I feel, and the world, and I'm sure you'll all agree, today everyone's sizing everyone up. Are they not? It's the sad truth of life. Everyone's sizing everyone up for different purposes, right? Someone's sizing up something else, someone's sizing up something else. But everyone's assessing people today. So you do have to put all of what you have out there.
Do you guys agree? Yes. Point well noted?
Yes.
Okay, I think my next question would be, you being a global personality and a brand, you and your brand are always spoken about as international entity. What is the key advice you can share for the students that aspire to be in your position one day?
So I think I did cover some of that in my first point.
Yes.
But I'll reiterate a few points that I feel must be. Is number one is, again, have a clear direction with who you want to be, right? the guaranteed way to fail is to really not know where you're going. If you know where you're going or where you want to be, you have, I would say, 50 to 70% higher chance of success. And if you don't know where you're going, I think you have a 90% chance of failure. And India is a great market. It's not a bad market. In fact, if you look at the economies today, India is probably in a better position than the West, than Europe, than many other places. So in the environment today, to be focusing on the Indian market is not a bad thing. It's a pretty good thing. The time I built or began my business, which was now 20 years ago, was a different time. That time the West was really prospering. The story was a little different there. But so I don't want to dissuade anybody from focusing on the Indian market. It's a very good market today. But if one is still interested in being, one has this desire within, I want to be known in New York, not just in Bombay, right? If you have that kind of desire, then as I said, you need to build relationships internationally. Everything here you talk about in luxury or fashion is really about people. Who's going to promote you? Your stylists, your celebrities. You need to put these systems in place, and your sensibility needs to be, people have to talk about you a certain way. I mean, if you're positioning yourself as this international personality, but they look at you and they're like, right, that's not really working, then that story is not going to go forward. So in my case, I genuinely have a certain lifestyle. I don't even live in India most of the year. So I have homes in other parts of the world. I don't know, look or dress a certain way, maybe speak a certain way, I don't know. So there's some alignment with that story. And our business is pretty much mostly international. Like, without having to pay anybody, we had, that was last year, I'm sure you read it somewhere, the president of the Oscars wearing my piece. Not even like an actress who, you're talking about the president of the Oscars. This woman decides who bloody gets the Oscars, right? So she's a friend, and what she wore was nothing extraordinary. It was just a row of solitaires. It was nothing extraordinary that you have to write a lot about, right? But the fact that you get someone in her position to wear it, because you can't buy her. You can buy Cardi B. You know what I mean? But you can't buy Janet Yang, because she can buy Cardi B for one sip of water in the morning. So my point is that, no, I love Cardi B's music. I wasn't hinting at anything. But you know what I mean, right? So the moment you do this, then without saying very much, you've asserted some kind of power, and you don't have to say more than that. So branding, and it's a good point, branding is a lot about asserting power. So, and how you assert the power depends. Branding is actually, I just thought of it right now. It's actually about asserting power.
If you think about it like that, it's all about asserting power, and that's how people are going to look at you and your brand.
Unfortunately, I think a reality that everybody in the luxury business should understand is that if it's a career you're pursuing, when I say luxury, I mean luxury, super luxury business. Your whole life from this moment onwards, in some form or another, is about asserting power.
Absolutely. When I think about the aspect of being international, I also feel that people in India do not really value art a lot. And that appreciation is kind of achieved only through international markets. How
Much
is
more.
that?
Much more. India is sadly all about this Bollywood tamasha, right? And it's actually, I personally think it's been the downfall of this country. This country has so much potential. I was in Singapore recently just maybe a few months ago, and my car was running late, so I just hopped into a cab and was heading somewhere. And the cab guy in the front, probably not rich, probably reasonably minimal education. Do you know what he was trying to talk to me about? The infrastructure of Singapore. He was relating to me, a stranger who he doesn't know, about some new bridge coming up and some new island being built somewhere. This is a man to who that has no impact, but this is where his heart and mind and his priority is. You sit in India, you won't even go into what conversation they want to make or what, and it's not only people driving the cabs, it's everybody, right? But that's a whole different masterclass. So I feel that one has to get their head out of Bollywood's ass and really look at the world in a much bigger way, because the world is so big, the kind of clients you can sell to. Like any of you decides to make cars one day, or decides to make watches one day, or decides to make furniture one day, or decides to make, I don't know, diamond-studded frisbees, whatever you want to do. No, I've made them, by the way. Let me tell you, there is an enormous market there. We think that the wealth in the world are the ones that are doing tamasha. They're not. The real wealth in the world is silent. They are invisible. They are in their $30-40 million penthouses in Monaco. They're in their chateaus in some village somewhere. They don't want to be seen. They don't have Instagram. If you can find a way to access those people, that's where the money is. You think all these big luxury brands are making money because of the actors and actresses? Even in the West, they're not. It's this woman who will walk into a shop completely nondescript. If you have a good eye, you will notice one thing where you'll figure out, okay, but she'll walk in, she'll swipe her card for $500,000 and she's out. So the wealth of the world, and why am I bringing wealth up? Because luxury, who will you sell to? You sell to wealth only, right? And so if one understands this, that this is who I want to target, that is when you become a real international brand. Like when you have this access. I mean, to me, aspiration is because I can access royal family in Monaco. To me, that's flex. You may not know her name also. That is a flex. Having that as a client is a flex. Because that woman, you can't charm her. You can't buy her to wear something for you. You can't schmooze her into buying something. That, if you get to even sit across that person for 2 minutes, that's a huge thing.
I believe in this. Real flex isn't something you cannot flaunt.
True.
So I think,
Real flex is not really needing to flaunt.
Absolutely.
See, also flaunting and expression are very different things, right? It's like somebody may say, okay, he's saying don't flaunt, but he's wearing a big fat diamond. I love diamonds. That's my business. It's a different story. I'll wear thousands of them. That's a different story. That's bragging is very different.
Versace, Bergdorf Goodman, the Maharaja of Patiala Snacky, and Royal Clientele in Monaco, like you just said. What can our students do to also position themselves to access such phenomenal opportunities globally? I know you've already spoken about it quite a bit right now. But when it comes to accessing these global families, like you said that you may not even know her name, but how do you really crack it? How do you go about it?
So I think that's a very big bonus. I know a while ago I said I'm reclusive now because I can afford to be reclusive. I wasn't in the first 15 years of my career. So number one is you need to really get your social skills in place. If you can get and when I say social skills, I don't mean manners. I don't mean how to cut a chicken and all. That you bloody better have. But I mean social skills of, you need to be dynamic. Everyone understands the word dynamic, right? You need to be dynamic, and at least in the business that you all are heading towards, right? If this was an MBA class, that would be a different conversation. But this bunch of people in the businesses you're likely to pursue, you will need to really not only up your social game, but also, as they say, be in the right rooms. There is no escaping that. There is no way around that. If you're not in the right room, somebody else has your opportunity. So, number one, get your social skills in place. How did we collaborate with Versace? Because I was working with somebody for my jewelry in Jakarta, right? And she was doing something with her store, and Versace bought the store over. And when they built the Versace store in Jakarta, she had a part ownership of it, and she was already working with my brand. So we sort of came together and figured this out. And when they launched Versace in Jakarta, 2012, it was my jewelry and Versace together.
Wow.
So why am I saying this story? Are you understanding how these relationships work? It is relationships, right? And someone else may have been in that room that time, and that opportunity may have gone to somebody else.
I think it's a very pertinent point for them because maybe the social skills will also rely on how they perform during the internships.
So internships, do they work with brands? How does it work?
Yes, so they will be working with clients,
Ah.
and the internships are going to be compulsory after they complete the first year. So they will get into compulsory internships of at least 3 months.
So I think it's everyone keeps hearing about this very cheesy term. It's called networking, right? Unfortunately, it's true, and you do need to be part of that activity. You do need to know the right people, and you do need to seize the opportunities. The world of luxury and fashion, I'll be honest, is not for the shy or faint-hearted. It's not. You need to be you need to be really shrewd for that business. And if you get the right affiliations in place, things can happen. Like my business partner for many years, I'm sure you guys saw her name come up somewhere in the press, Sushma Kilachan, right? From the Kilachan family. We worked together for many years, and you know how we met? In an aircraft. And she was with her husband, and she was talking really loudly, and I was really pissed off. It was within the country, so I was flying economy, and she was next to me, and I wanted to break her face, but I didn't. I completely ignored her and left. I don't know her. She was sitting next to me and yapping. I had a showing with a store in Bangalore called Folio, a very well-known store. Yashodhara Shroff, you may know her. She owns it. So my show was about to begin, and midday journalist was sitting across me. Very sweet chap, chair in front of me. Guess who walks in the store? She walks in. And I look at her, and I'm like, and she looks at me. We recognize each other. So I said, you were the noisy person across me. And this journalist was so horrified, he fell backwards. So his chair and he both toppled, and he hit his head. Luckily, he didn't hurt himself, fell back. And that became a funny story. So we met like that. And we went on then to do a lot of business together. In fact, even the Alibaug property I built is with her. So the point is that collaboration is really important. Now, one argument is, the brand is me. What does she bring to the table really? But sometimes in business, one person cannot do everything, right? And I think you need to understand that. Another person may bring a certain skill set or a certain energy that you may be lacking in a business. And you have to be open to it. So in my case, I've had a fair amount of this kind of thing happening. Then the Maharaja of Patiala's granddaughter, Jyotna Singh, she lives in LA, in fact, completely far removed from the Indian culture, has nothing to do with it. I met her at a wine tasting in Napa Valley. We didn't know each other from Adam. We met, and I was wearing a ring, and she kept staring at it. And I'm like, okay, that's weird, but anyway. And then she finally came up and spoke to me. Much older. She probably now 70s. So came up to me, and I'm like, okay, are you hitting on me, woman? What's up? Like what's this cougar shit, right? Like, calm down. But no, she came very sweetly, and we got talking, and then we just began to sort of talk about our businesses. And she was in some garment business. And then we collaborated together and did a lot of business together. And I found out that she's Bhupinder Singh's daughter after 6 months. She didn't, a granddaughter. She didn't tell me.
Oh.
She didn't tell me. So you have to be open to these sort of collaborations, even if you think they're hitting on you. Um, because life is like that. I mean, today because of social media, people can DM you and you can make collaborations very easily. That time, there was no bloody DM. There was BlackBerry.
Yeah, exactly. Blackberry. Yeah, so you have to be like, I think you have to have very open sense.
See, you understand who you are, have your skill set, have your confidence in who you are. But if you think that you're going to build this multi-million-dollar brand by yourself, the likelihood of that is, I would say, small. But also don't affiliate with idiots. Don't collaborate with idiots. The world is filled with as many idiots today. In fact, more idiots than people with any brain. Lot of and nothing beyond that, right?
Exactly.
I mean, they talk a lot, but they are nowhere in the world. So you don't want that in your life. Make the right choices, collaborate, identify. Sometimes you may feel I lack in something, right? Like I asked you who's social here and only few people there and the rest. If you feel you're lacking in that, you may consider a partnership with someone who is very social. So that may be an energy that you need in your life. You could be very talented in the mind. Then there's some people who are amazing at creative aspects, and there are others who are amazing at execution. The world of business, without both, there's nothing. You can keep daydreaming, you won't achieve anything. Or this, you can keep making something rubbish and you'll achieve nothing. Has to marry it.
Okay, we're now going to talk about cross branding and equity. In 2020, you showcased your first architecture project, which I sat through the entire video and I was so thrilled. It was beautiful. What a phenomenal move that is. Talk us through how you so meticulously structured a branding deal that can explain to our students how design, luxury, architecture, jewelry, and equity can all be structured into one move.
So, the word that, and understand this word well, because it's something that will be very important for you in your business. The word is disruption. Glasshouse 91 is not the biggest house in Alibaug. It's not the most expensive house in Alibaug. But it yet, in the last few years, landed up becoming one of the most famous. It's because what that property did is it disrupted the typical sense of what a holiday home in Alibaug is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's unconventional, not for the sake of being unconventional. Like, I have people who come to me and say, okay, this looks like a nightclub, it's not a house, right? I'm like, fair enough, that's your point of view. And maybe some parts of it do also. Now, for someone like me in the position I am in, I studied to be an architect, you'll probably know that. I didn't pursue it. This was the first time I dabbled in architecture. Now, I knew the home is going to draw eyeballs, right? If this is the first piece of architecture Pavan Anand's putting out on the world, it has to be iconic. And so I would say that there was some strategy in that we're not going to make just another home. It's going to have components and elements and features that provoke design conversations. You, as a brand, you become popular when you become a conversation point. This is a very important point. If you're not a conversation point, you're sadly invisible. Like you asked me a question previously about sort of being mysterious, right? Sure, but I will make sure my party is at home and trips are in the press. Because it's a conversation point. You can't build a brand unless people are talking about you. The whole world doesn't have to, but the right people have talked about you at the right time. So Glasshouse 91, even the name sounds a bit like, what does it mean? Well, 91 actually is the plot number. No one knows that. But it was this sense of mystery. It was this sense of this home looks like something from a different planet, right?
It does.
And the way the branding and marketing was done. We got Hello Magazine to do, the event with us. AD has put it on 3 covers. AD spoken about it so many times. I mean, it became a big conversation point in the architecture community. And it was entirely deliberate. And after that, I have gotten people coming up to me and saying, hey, listen, just put your name. We'll just put your name. And I'm like, no.
Do you have any future architectural projects now?
So, to be honest, I'm not so motivated to do work for people. You know what I mean? Like, I've had a lot of friends who come to me. I mean, all the prominent industrialists in India are my friends who've come to do a house. And I'm like, I'm not sure I want to be designing your bathroom and kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure that I want to be planning your shelves and where underwears and stuff go. That's really not my interest. I like to own equity in what I put my work in. So, I own Glasshouse 91. It's not a home for somebody else, right? It's a property that's appreciated and valued like crazy number of times because it became iconic. So I have equity in that product. So I like to put my work in where I have equity. So even when I do something next in architecture, it will not be for a client. I will own it or I will have equity in it. So your point being is that the word equities have floated around all over the world, right? So loosely used. You have to have equity. Your talent has to correlate to that word. So when you're investing your time in something, it's not just for a fee. Like you're going to study interior design. Okay, you'll do up somebody's house. Well, now interior designers earn a lot. You can earn even $2,000 a square foot in some cases. It'll take you very long to get there, but you can. But if you went to, let's say one of your friends was a restaurateur, and you went to him and said, let's both put in some money. Let's say you have some money to put in or you can access it. Let's both put some money into this. And I'll put my name on it. That's your equity there that nobody can take from you. You're not a client. You're not just taking a fee and running. That's a brand that is part of you. And I feel more and more such equity deals in the world. Aren't we all seeing this happening today? Everyone's participating. It's not just a fee. I'm not taking a fee and leaving. I have stake in this. The returns are higher. I mean, today you may feel very happy, okay, I'm going to do up someone's 2,000 square foot house and I'm going to earn 10 lakhs as the fee. Let me tell you, you will need to hire at least 2 people to outside of yourself, unless you're planning on doing the drafting and the drawing and the QC and everything yourself, which you may in the first couple of years, but then you can't, right? You'll have to hire at least 2 people along with you. You'll get away without an office for how long? 6 months, 1 year? Beyond that, you need an office. Where are clients going to come, right? You need an office, there's travel, there's many expenses. You will get that 10 lakhs, that has to last you. A project can take up to a year. But if you had equity in that property, where it was appreciating, now the argument will be is, as a new person, how will we invest money? All founders have put seed money together to build a business. Don't think because you're an interior designer or because you're in fashion. Please understand you're an entrepreneur first today. So think like one.
How do you, go back and how do you start again? Is there,
It's a great question.
Do you feel that we should look at multiple things when we are starting off, or should we be focused on just one thing? How should we go about it?
So apart from starting early, there's one more telltale sign of someone who has a high chance of success. Obsession. You have to be obsessed. You know, when I was 5 years old or 4 years old, when there was no social media, there was information. I mean, you literally had to learn information from a book, right? How outdated it seems now, but it's true. And by the age of 4 or 5, I knew what diamonds cost. I could be in the elevator with somebody, like I was in Malabar Hill, and a lot of Marwadis in Malabar Hill, right? And there would be these fat Marwadi aunties in the building, always in the lift. And Marwadi aunties always wore these big diamonds, right? And I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I would be pointing to that, and I knew the cost at 5.
You had family
At
background
5,
in
nothing.
that?
My family was nothing to do with my business, no. I knew how many carats it was, I knew how much it costed. Then my other love was real estate. I could walk into somebody's house at the age of 6, 7, look around, okay, 1,500 square feet. That time the rates used to be 5, 8,000 a square foot, 10,000. That time Malabar Hill was 11,000. It was a very big deal. And I could say, okay, 2 crores. This is probably by the age of 8.
Wow.
So I feel that obsession is a great telltale sign. Like you teach them. I'm sure you can sense, okay, I can pick up obsession, not like obsession for like boys and girls, huh? But I mean like obsession for like, that will take you down. That will take you downhill. But obsession for something, if you can find that, if you, very high chance will succeed. And I think the world we live in today, it's better to not put all your eggs in one place. So to have an alternate. And if you feel your career is dried out or run out, it's, I mean, I won't say it's never too late, but what option do you have? What choice is there? If you wake up one day at 40 and you feel your career is not working, what are you going to do? You have no choice. You have to adapt. Unless you plan to retire, right? And say, okay, I'll marry someone rich and I'm done.
Okay, so I think we'll open the floor for
Sure,
questions
sure.
now. Yes, Vibha.
So when you were speaking about collaboration, you spoke a lot about personal branding. But then I want to talk about a little more on your actual brand and the product you're making. So with the product, if someone else, a bigger fish in the sea, is going to value you, there has to be some sort of a, if I put it very blatantly, a differentiating factor. So how does one also align their own interests and that differentiating factor in their product?
I think that differentiating factor has to be built in from the onset. I think you need to sort of know. See, the market today is very competitive. So anyone entering the luxury business thinking it's hunky-dory, it's not. If today someone came to me and asked me, would I have been as successful if I began today, vis-a-vis the fact that I began 20 years ago, I may very honestly and humbly say, maybe not. The environment today is very competitive. Your differentiator, unfortunately, in the environment we are in today, a big differentiator is price. It was not the case in my time when I began, and it was not the case for a luxury product. Today, you will notice even luxury products are competing over price. So your differentiator sometimes can be price. Number two, your biggest differentiator is there a demand? If you have a demand, no one gives a rat's ass about your differentiator. Is there a demand? Do people want your product? And your differentiator could be anything from the finish, to the quality, to the styling, to some kind of innovation in it. So I think your differentiator has to be set in from the initial phase. It's like when we spoke about my Alibaug home, right? People have come to me literally and said it's a blank check. Not to be offensive, not to be anything, but to basically say, we've built houses in Alibaug for the last bloody 30 years. No one's ever heard about those homes. Why the hell is your home in Forbes and this, that, blah, blah, blue, blue? You are home for us. Not interested. Thank you. What the differentiator basically is, what is luxury? Luxury is about how someone feels because of you, right? How does somebody feel when they wear a ring of mine? How do they feel when they're driving a certain car? How do they feel when they're in my home? How do they feel when they're reading something, right? Today, even a book is a brand. Today, books are becoming movies. Books are brands today. So how are you making somebody feel? That's a differentiator.
Do you plan on creating an opinion giving the evolving jewelry for the younger minds?
It's a good question because we don't cater to the younger audience at all. To be honest, it's a market that I can very blatantly say I don't understand well. I don't understand it well. I I have a certain aesthetic, a certain brand language, and I'm very happy with it. Younger story, yet question mark. Maybe if I collaborate sometime with someone who will bring that to the table. As on now, no plan. And I also realize when a ship is moving in the right way, just don't shake it, because suddenly they'll be like, okay, what's he up to? Like, why is he not doing well? Why is he suddenly trying to cater into this TikTok shop market? Like, why is he here now, right? So I haven't sort of moved around that yet. It's a good question because it's a very big market. It's a much larger demographic than we cater to. So for me, it will be a challenge because our product is very strong. So how does one bring that strength in, but also keep it relatable and fun? So it's a good question. I have to work on that.
People have made jewelry about other emotions like love, not anger, but love. How did you resonate with envy? Like, how did you think that your clients would resonate with that?
So as I said, I think creative people are fundamentally quite perceptive. And I can tell from the questions you're asking, there's a lot of that in this room, which is a great sign. I have personally encountered a lot of envy in my life. Not from me, but from around me. And I wanted to talk about it. I have seen it from people around me, close to me. And so you all will realize this in a few years. You have friends today, and when one person zips across further than the other, unfortunately, you could be brothers also. There is something that goes wrong. So I think for me, it was just that collection I was addressing many emotions. There was seduction, envy, several things. But I've personally felt that. So I think somewhere for me, it was me just putting it out there. Slyly. Letting them know, I see you.
How did you find your niche?
So 20 years ago, it's 2005. 2004, I began my first brand. That market was totally different. I think I got bored of that market eventually because we were doing a lot of semi-precious jewelry at that time, in fact. And we were the first people that were sort of high-end in that business, but then a lot of other players came in. And the juice dries up. The juice dried up for me. So that's when we said, okay, now what's the next niche, right? See, once your infrastructure is in place, it's like when you're building a building, what's the infrastructure? The foundation. Your plinth, etc., etc. Once you have that in place, then you can sell anything. So by then, we were already working with stores and representatives across the world. So then it just was about coming to them and saying, hey, listen, now we have a new offering. So you've already proven your capability, right? Once you've done that, and then the niche really it's just Hollywood and royal families. That's it. And let me tell you, it sounds fascinating, but there was a lot of, I wouldn't say hate, but a lot of attitude that, okay, so is he trying to basically say he's better than us? That's what I'm not saying it.
You define it as a complete 180 for your brand.
Yeah. So I had no problem with that, right? It was like, why, who do you think he is? All right, I am who I am, right? Get over it. So identify your niche, change your niche, but you have to have a foundation in place. If you don't have that in place.
Networking, when you found your niche.
See the systems, okay, what's a business? Business is product and sale. There's nothing more. You can study MBA for bloody goddamn years. It's really product and sale. There's nothing else. Once your sale infrastructure is in place, I would say product is easy to make. You can manage a product. Once your sale infrastructure is in place, keep changing your niche.
Your take on someone who's in their 20s to if they want to start investing. So what, like, as you said, first you're an entrepreneur.
Of course.
And also because you are a jeweler, also you own real estate. So I think
It's a good question. Um, in India, as on today, and I would say at least what one can never guarantee, but I think the forecast that I'm understanding for the next 10 years, I think real estate should be a very large part of your portfolio. Because the India story, I think, has just begun. You know, we saw the world moves in cycles, right? America had its cycle. Europe, poor thing. Anyway, Australian cycle also is in the gutter. Canada was doing amazingly well, but tanked miserably. Far East is in its peak, major peak. India is still getting there. India's population is growing. India's middle class is growing. And for all of this new drama happening with that president idiot sending Indians back, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. Just imagine the number of homes that will be needed in big cities in India or small cities year on year. It is unreal. I own a lot of real estate. I love it. I have seen my rentals in the last, I'm sure you've seen it also. Rentals have gone up 30-40% in 2 years. 30-40%. A rent that was, say, 2 lakhs even 12 months ago, your clause will say 10%. It's actually gone up 25%. Redevelopment in Bombay. Every second building in South Bombay is now going to redevelopment. Rental demand is going to be enormous. So real estate, I will be 1. Gold, 2. Silver, 3. Equity, 4. Cryptocurrency, I personally don't understand, so I won't comment on it. People have made lots of money on it, but I don't understand it, so I won't advise anyone in that order. And jewelry is not investment, so be very clear with that. It's not investment. The cost of diamonds is the same it was 25 years ago. It's not, in fact, it's gone down. So I would, in that order.
some smart investments.
How can they truly transform into walking, talking luxury? Anything that they can imply from today itself?
So I'll give 2 answers to that. One is about luxury and one is about general success. You need to make peace with the fact, because you're starting your careers. In fact, you will start. How many years more do they have to study? A couple of years. So you have a long way to go just here yet. Your success will depend entirely on you. And when one is younger, right, especially this age, one has a lot of inner anger, whether it's at the parents or the siblings or the world. Am I wrong? It's true, right? There's a lot of anger. We hate our parents for some reason at that age. I don't know why it's there. We've all been through it. I've been through it. You are responsible for yourself. And whether you succeed or fail, luck plays some role. It's 100% you. So once you make peace with that, I think you will put in the work that you need to put in. And be very realistic about, see, a lot of people they know who they are, but they pretend to be somebody else. And if someone doesn't have the fire in or the passion in, be okay with that also. As I'm saying, I know people who've woken up at the age of 10 and said, I'm just marrying a rich man, I'm done. That's it. And they've managed it. People that we hear about, that I know very well. So I'm just saying, right, that be true to whatever your aim is, whatever your goddamn goal is, do that well. Your goal could be to be a homemaker. That's an amazing goal to have. Your goal could be to be a mother or a father. Your goal could be to be a teacher. Your goal could be to be the next big thing. Your goal could be anything. Whatever it is, just do that 100%. And I don't think anyone can give you any advice that has more value than that. And stop being angry at the world. And stop being angry at your parents. They don't owe you jack shit. They actually don't owe you jack shit.
Can you please wrap it up with, you know what?